We always think of high intelligence as this superpower, right? The key to unlocking success, solving pretty much any problem, and just living an easier life. But what if that same powerful analytical mind is also the source of some really unique struggles? What if it's actually a double-edged sword? That's exactly what we're going to get into today.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to redefine what high intelligence really even means, because it's way more than just a label. Then, we'll dive into the social and internal battles that people often don't see. And finally, we'll talk about how to not just deal with it all, but to truly embrace this unique way of thinking. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1. Before we can talk about the struggles, we have to get on the same page about what we mean by intelligent. Because trust me, it is so much more than just a number you get on some test.
It's a great question, isn't it? It seems so simple to ask, but man, it is a tough one to answer. We all kind of know intelligence when we see it, but pinning down a definition, that's tricky. One thing's for sure though, it is not just your IQ score.
And hey, if you don't believe me, take it from one of the most brilliant minds of our time. Stephen Hawking himself said that people who boast about their IQ are losers. He knew, better than anyone, that a single number could never, ever capture the full picture of someone's intellect. So, what's a better way to look at it?
Let's use this as our working definition. A highly intelligent person is basically a master at connecting the dots. They don't just see a bunch of random facts, they see the systems underneath, the hidden patterns, and the deep, deep logic of how everything just fits together.
Okay, so here's the twist. Having a mind that's amazing at seeing connections can sometimes make it way harder to actually connect with other people. And that brings us right into Section 2, the social struggles.
You see, for the highly intelligent, the biggest hurdles aren't usually found in a textbook or some complex equation. Nope, they're found in something as simple as an everyday conversation. Let's break down exactly why that is.
This quote absolutely nails the heart of the first social struggle. Great minds want to talk about big ideas. But think about it, so much of our daily chit-chat is about people and events. For a mind that's hungry for depth and abstract concepts, small talk can feel completely draining. It's like you're trying to run a marathon on an empty tank.
So let me ask you this. Has anyone ever called you quiet, or maybe a little too serious? It's a super common experience. On the inside, your mind might be juggling a dozen different ideas, but what people see on the outside is just silence. And there's a really interesting reason for that.
It's because an intelligent mind often thinks way more than it speaks. Before saying anything, it's running a full-blown simulation, weighing the logic, considering all the implications, and even thinking about the counter-arguments. That deep processing takes a second, and it creates these little pauses that are so easily mistaken for being serious or worse, not interested.
And that is where we get the classic awkward nerd trope from. You know, the one you see in all the movies. They love to exaggerate it, of course, but there's a real kernel of truth there. That pause, that comment that seems to come out of left field, it's often just the sound of a brain that's already 3 steps ahead of the conversation.
And believe it or not, science actually offers a possible explanation for this. A 2015 study found a really fascinating link. Sometimes, a super high IQ can be connected to a lower EQ or emotional intelligence. And EQ is the very thing we need for social skills and reading a room. It kind of suggests there can be a trade-off.
So what's the end result of all this? Well, honestly, it can be isolation. When people feel intimidated or they just can't get on your wavelength, they tend to keep their distance. And that can be a really, really lonely place to be.
But the challenges aren't just coming from the outside world. In fact, some of the biggest, toughest battles are fought entirely inside the mind of a highly intelligent person.
This first one is a classic. Paralysis by analysis. I mean, when your brain can literally see every single possibility, every pro and every con for one simple choice, it's so easy to get completely overwhelmed. The search for the perfect answer stops you from making any answer at all. I absolutely love this phrase, the idea that the brain has the munchies. An intelligent mind is always hungry. It needs new problems, new ideas to chew on. So when it gets stuck doing simple, repetitive stuff, it gets bored and restless. And that constant hunt for the next mental meal, it can be exhausting.
And then, of course, there's the pressure. It's a little twist on a famous line, but it perfectly captures that immense, heavy weight of expectation that comes with being labeled the smart one.
And this pressure, it just comes from everywhere. From your family, from your friends. But you know what? Most of all, it comes from inside you. It creates this constant, nagging need to prove yourself, to live up to whatever potential everyone thinks you have. And that can lead to this crushing perfectionism and a fear of failure that feels completely out of whack.
So, with all these challenges, social ones, internal ones, what's the way forward? How do you deal with it?
Well, that brings us to our final and maybe the most important section, learning to embrace the amazing mind you have.
This image really captures a painful feeling, doesn't it? When people only see your intellect, it feels like they're talking to a brain in a jar, not a person. Being boiled down to a single label, even a good one, like intelligent, can be one of the most isolating feelings in the world. Okay, this is so important, so please listen. If any of these struggles we've talked about feel familiar to you, you need to know this. You are not broken. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. This is just part of how your mind is wired. Your experience is real, and it is valid. And this is exactly why waiting for other people to get you will always fall short. True acceptance has to come from within. At the end of the day, you are the only one who gets to define who you are, not your friends, not your family, not anyone else's perception of you. Only you. Your intelligence is a huge, brilliant part of who you are. It's a core piece of your personal puzzle. But it isn't the whole puzzle. You are also your kindness, your weird sense of humor, your passions, your mistakes, all the other messy, wonderful pieces that make you, you. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought to chew on. Whether this whole explainer describes you perfectly, or maybe it makes you think of someone you know, how can we all do a better job of looking past the intellect to actually see the person? How can we value the whole, complex, fascinating human being that's standing right in front of us?